everyone, this is Tracy. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made this monster skin. It's really super easy to do, and the special effects is super fun. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, hi everyone. So I wanted to show you how I made this kind of, I don't know, I call it monster skin. And I did want to let you know that I didn't invent this idea, and I will link to a video where a lady makes faux rice paper. And that's kind of where I got the idea. I just had to kick it up a notch with some experiments, and so I thought I'd show you how I did it. This one I did by smooshing on top of that wet one, and so it's just on some watercolor. And then here's the one with the mica flakes in it. I'm going to show you how to do one with mica and one without. And for today we'll do monster skin, and we'll do creature from the Black Lagoon or green skin or whatever. So you want some sort of a silicone mat or some sort of non-stick surface. I like to use the silicone mats. You see that one's dirty from making them. Because sometimes I might want to use some heat to dry them. And just some plain tissue paper. This is the cheap dollar store stuff. Some Elmer's glue that I've had for about 15 years. A little bit of coffee. Black coffee preferably. And you see I've got about a 1/3 cup coffee there. And then I'm going to be using some distress spray stains to color my goopity goop. That's what I'm going to call it. And to add some color to my skin. So I just filled the rest of the cup up with just a plain old coffee cup with regular glue, and I'm just stirring it up together, making sure it's nice and stirred up. Now don't accidentally grab this thinking it's your cup of coffee, because it does look like a nice light cup of coffee. But you want to make sure it's stirred really well. And then I'm going to split this up because I want to use color, 2 different colors. So we'll start with the first one, and I'm going to go in with some saltwater taffy because it's the closest I can come to kind of a pale, pinky, kind of scary looking skin. Let me grab another brush that I'm going to be using and stir it up and see if I like the color. Needs a little bit darker, so I'll do about 3 more squirts of spray. You just spray until it's the color you want it. And that looks to me like, I don't know, ectoplasmic skin, whatever. It's definitely not glow in the dark. And then I'm going to use the peeled paint for my lagoon creature. And what I'll make out of these, I don't know, but they're cool, and I thought I'd have them handy. You just never know what you might use a textured piece of media for. So I'm going to get that one out of my way so I don't knock it over, and I'm going to take my stuff stained with this saltwater taffy, and I'm going to just spread it on my mat. Then I'm going to take a piece of this tissue, and I'm just going to wad it up really tight and then take it apart. So I want all those wrinkles. I want all that texture. And pull it out best I can. And it's sometimes when you're doing this, your tissue can rip, and I'm going to show you what you can do to mitigate that. So I just take and make sure my brush is really, really wet with this stuff, and starting from the center, brush outward. So sometimes if you get it too wet, you can create holes, and you can leave the holes if you want to, or you can fix them, and I'll show you how I fix it on this one. So I'm getting it nice and wet. And then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to drip some of my, I want to say this is prize ribbon. What I'm going for is sort of a veiny look, and this is pumice stone. So I'm kind of going for a thin skin veiny look, and then I'm just going to tap some more of this glue and coffee mixture all over where I have splattered that, come on. Words are hard. You know what I just splattered. You saw me do it. And so next what I want to do is I want to go in and take my brush when it's nice and wet, and I want to scrunch up this tissue paper. And this is where, if you're not careful, you can rip it. So I'm scrunching all the edges, and just kind of to get that extra texture and to make it easier to peel up. And you see where I'm getting holes right here. So what am I going to do to fix it? I'm just going to start scooting the paper in towards it and just tap it around. And so yeah, I will get a bunch of finger quote skin, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. So you see I got more glue water on my brush because I want to make sure that all kind of sticks together. And I keep putting more moisture on there so that when I'm scrunching it up, it doesn't tear. So it's on a nice slippery surface here, and there I made another hole, so I'm just going to patch it up. Just gives more texture and interest. And then what I want to do is I want to set that aside and let it dry. I see a couple of spots where I've got it too blue. I want it to look like it's underneath the skin, so I'm basically creating a skin on top of this thing. And I'm going to grab just something flat that I have where I can set this on there and set it aside to dry. Now you can dry it, and I do take my heat tool to it, but you have to be careful because it'll burn. So like it didn't catch on fire or anything, but I got some burn spots on it. So now I'm going to do the green one. So I'm going to grab my green goop and I'm going to spread it on here, and I didn't even worry about anything that was already on there. I don't care. I don't care. It adds interest. So just rolling it up in a ball again and then taking it apart. I imagine you could use even toilet paper for this. I don't know how well it would hold up to all that water because it's designed to disintegrate. So I'm just going to paint this stuff on the same way I did before. And real thick, real wet, super wet. Don't even think about this not being messy business, because it totally is. That's how it is in my laboratory. I just make a mess and see what happens. And I thought this turned out to be a pretty cool special effect. You could even go so far as to make a bunch of this and make your kid into a really scary looking monster at Halloween. Because it's just tissue paper and glue. It's non-toxic. It won't hurt them. They might not be very comfortable because I don't know about you guys, but here in here in Alabama, it's still hot at Halloween. Go figure. But you could do it. So I want to now I'm going to grab some of these distressed mica flakes. And I'm just going to drop some onto here, just here and there. Nothing fancy, no aiming really, just kind of sprinkle it on like you're sprinkling on some, I don't know, pepper onto your food. I would sprinkle a lot more salt. So and then I'm going to go in and go direct with this spray with the what is it, peeled paint, and then I'm going to water it down so it kind of spreads out. And then I'll go ahead and go in with a little bit of the pumice stone too to just kind of dirty it up and spray it with some water so it kind of spreads out. And then it'll do a lot of spreading on its own. And then I'm just going to dab a little bit more of my glue concoction here. And I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. And I'll be back when they're dry. All right, so here's my skin. Came out pretty cool. We have another step we need to do with the skin though. And I am actually going to do this same step, but peeling this up is so satisfying. You want to do it carefully in case there's any wet underneath. And you can see that there is because I had thicker, scrunchy parts. So I will flip that over and let that wet side dry a bit before I go on to the next step. But as long as you're peeling carefully, it'll stay together. And the mat cleans off pretty easily. Now the dried glue, you might have to scratch at it a little bit, but overall it cleans off fairly easy. So I'm just going to set this here and let it dry. All right, now that it's dry, I'm coming to the next step. And the next step is this translucent crackle paste. This is the miracle right here. And I'm just going to take a paintbrush, just make sure there's nothing hard on there. And I'm just going to start painting this stuff on all over it. Some spots thicker than others. Not really paying attention other than just getting it down. Now, when I did the green one, I did use a palette knife because the green one is a little bit more textury, and I just wanted to experiment and see what would happen if I used a palette knife and put it on a little bit thicker. But for this, for the skin, I just want kind of fairly uniform. I'm going a little bit heavier in these repaired areas. We'll get that all painted down, and then we'll set that aside to dry. Just a side note, and I'm going to go ahead and throw some texture in here too. If you take a heat tool, before you do this step, if you take a heat tool and start to dry some of that glue, some of the underneath glue will bubble up, and that's a bonus. But again, you have to be careful you don't burn it, because the bubbling just gives it even more texture. So I'm putting my brush directly in water. All right, so that's dry, and check it out. Isn't that neat? I just love it, and those blue things look like veins, and it is totally translucent. And I did the green one, and it's mostly dry, so I'll show it to you. But I really love this, and it's tough, it's thick, it can tear, but it doesn't tear easily. Here's the green monster skin, so you can see through it. It's pretty cool. And then I wanted to show you that I did do the crackle paste on that one, and again I did the application a little bit thicker just to see what would happen. But I did want to show you that you can actually die cut this stuff. So this is the piece that I showed in the beginning, and I cut a couple of little leaves out of it. They're kind of floppy, but they're cool looking, and they're totally see-through. Well, mostly they're translucent. And then this is the butterfly I did with the black one that I did mica on, and it's really pretty. And it's better in person. And then I'll show you the project I'm working on, and that's this little guy here. So I've taken that skin and I put it onto him, and I've made some blood, and he's still drying. But just to kind of give you an idea, why would you want to make skin, right? Why would you want to make monster skin? Well, this is why. Anyway, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave in the down below.